Welcome back, everybody. Today we're doing a deep dive into something kind of different, a study on escalation in project management.
Sounds exciting.
It is. And the really interesting thing about this study is that it uses AI like a simulation to see what happens
Okay.
if you double the escalation rate.
Oh, that's...
Interesting.
Yeah.
So basically imagine you've got this project and suddenly you've got twice as many urgent things to deal with. What happens?
Yeah, what does happen?
Well, that's what we're going to find out.
Yeah.
Our source material is actually really cool. It's like we're eavesdropping on a team of AIs.
Really?
Yeah, as they try to figure this out.
I like it.
So,
So these are actual AI?
yeah, like real AIs talking to each other using natural language processing and stuff.
Wow, okay.
It's pretty wild.
Okay.
So the scenario starts with this developer named Denis,
Okay.
and he just kind of throws out this question, like escalation 2x.
Escalation 2x. Okay.
And at first it's kind of vague, right? Like, what does that even mean?
Yeah.
But thankfully, we've got KickLang, who is like the senior meta AI in this scenario.
Oh, so there's like levels of AI here.
Yeah, it's a whole team.
Yeah.
And KickLang steps in to clarify. So basically, Denis wants to know what would happen if you doubled the number of like escalated bugs and feature requests.
Okay, so double the amount of like really urgent stuff.
Exactly. And he specifically wants to know what would happen in a typical agile software development project.
Okay, got it.
So to make things concrete, they kind of set up this hypothetical scenario. It's a team of 20 developers working on a 6-month project.
Okay. Pretty standard.
Yeah. And then they just hit them with twice as many urgent issues.
Oof. I can only imagine.
Right. So what do you think happens, like just intuitively?
Well, I mean, part of me thinks it might actually speed things up, you know? Like if everyone's focused on the most critical issues, they're going to get resolved faster.
That's a good point. And honestly, that's what I thought too at first.
Yeah.
But to really know for sure, Denis actually asks the AI team to run a simulation.
Oh, wow. So they actually simulate it.
Yep. They build this whole model of the project, and then they double the escalation rate and see what happens.
That's really cool.
It is. So while the simulation is running, we actually get to see what the other AIs are up to.
Oh, really? So they're not just like sitting around waiting.
Not at all. KickLang, for example, starts looking into something called dynamic prioritization.
Dynamic prioritization. I'm not familiar with that.
Yeah, so basically it's a way of constantly adjusting the priorities of tasks as things change.
Oh, that's interesting.
Like imagine you've got this system that can look at all the bugs and feature requests and decide which ones need to be tackled right away and which ones can wait a bit
Yeah.
based on like the overall project goals and deadlines.
So it's like constantly reevaluating what's most important.
Exactly. It's all about being flexible and adapting to the situation.
Oh, I see.
And then we've got another AI assistant called Funky.
Funky. Okay.
Yeah, Funky's pretty cool. Funky starts searching for real-world case studies.
So like examples of teams that have dealt with high escalation rates.
Exactly. Funky's looking for any historical examples of teams that have successfully implemented similar strategies.
So it's like they've got this whole research team working in parallel to the simulation.
Yep. They're pulling in all sorts of information to try to get a complete picture.
I like it.
Yeah. So while all of that is going on, the simulation finishes running.
Okay, drum roll, please. What were the results?
Well, you're not going to believe this,
Yeah.
but as you might expect, doubling the escalation rate actually did lead to faster average resolution times.
Really? So more escalation equals faster resolution.
That's what the simulation showed.
Yeah. Huh. Interesting.
But, and this is a big but,
Oh, there's a but.
there's always a but. It wasn't quite that simple. Remember how I mentioned dynamic prioritization?
Yeah.
Well, the simulation also showed that while things might move faster in one area, it could actually create bottlenecks and delays in other parts of the project.
Oh, I see. So it's like a trade-off. You might be able to put out fires faster,
Right.
but it could create chaos somewhere else.
Exactly. And that's a key takeaway here. There's this delicate balance between speed and potential disruption. You can't just blindly escalate everything and expect it to all work out perfectly.
Okay, so just doubling the escalation rate isn't a magic bullet.
Definitely not.
Okay.
So what did the AI team suggest? Like, what are some ways to address these potential downsides?
Well, first of all, they recommended actually implementing that dynamic prioritization we talked about.
So instead of just escalating everything, you have a system that can figure out what needs to be addressed right away.
Exactly. And Funky actually found some really interesting stuff in those real-world case studies.
Oh, yeah? Like what?
Well, apparently a lot of teams that successfully manage high escalation rates actually use multiple layers of task prioritization.
Multiple layers. Like, what does that mean?
It's kind of like a triage system in a hospital.
Oh, I see.
Where they make sure the most critical cases get treated first.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So you might have like a first layer of prioritization that's based on severity, and then a second layer that's based on impact or something like that.
Got it. So dynamic prioritization and layered task prioritization.
Yep, those are the big ones.
Anything else?
One more thing. They also really emphasize the importance of clear and consistent communication.
Oh, of course. Because if everyone's suddenly dealing with twice as many urgent tasks, it's easy for things to get confusing.
Right, exactly. So they suggested implementing like improved communication protocols to make sure everyone's on the same page.
So everyone knows what's going on and there's no wasted effort.
Precisely. It's all about making sure everyone has the information they need to make good decisions.
This is really fascinating. So basically they created this whole framework for managing a higher escalation rate.
Yeah, you could say that.
Dynamic prioritization, layered task prioritization, and improved communication.
It sounds like a recipe for success.
Right, even in a really high-pressure environment.
Yeah, and what I think is so cool is that these AIs didn't just identify the problem, they actually offered practical solutions.
Yeah, and they drew on both theoretical knowledge and real-world examples.
It's like they were consulting.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
So the question is, could this approach actually work in the real world?
That's a great question. And that's what we'll be exploring in the next part of our deep dive.
Stay tuned.
We'll delve into the potential benefits and challenges of actually implementing these AI-powered solutions in real-world projects.
That's going to be good.
So make sure you come back for that.
We'll see you then.
All right. So could this really work? Could we actually use this AI-powered approach in the real world?
I mean, that's the big question, right?
It is, and it's what makes this study so fascinating. We're getting a glimpse into the future of project management.
Yeah, like imagine having access to this kind of AI analysis for any project.
Exactly. Think about it. You're leading a team, you've got tight deadlines, maybe some unexpected challenges pop up.
And suddenly you've got an AI that can model different scenarios and suggest strategies.
It would be like having a secret weapon.
Right. But does that make things too easy? I mean, doesn't good project management still require like human intuition and experience?
You're absolutely right, and the study actually addresses that. It was still Denis, the human developer, who decided whether to actually implement the AI's suggestions.
Oh, that's a good point.
So it's not about replacing human judgment, it's about augmenting it.
Yeah, giving project managers more information and better tools to make decisions.
I see it as a collaboration.
Okay.
The AI provides the data and the analysis,
Yeah.
but the human manager brings their understanding of the project. The team dynamics, all those things the AI might not fully grasp.
So the AI is like a powerful advisor.
Exactly.
But the human is still in charge.
Right. And that's why I think this approach has so much potential. It combines the best of both worlds.
The analytical power of AI and the nuanced judgment of human experience.
Precisely.
Okay, so this AI-powered approach could be huge for project management. But are there any downsides? Like any risks we should be thinking about?
Well, as with any new technology, there are always challenges. One thing that comes to mind is the potential for over-reliance on the AI's recommendations.
Oh, I see what you mean. Like you start thinking the AI has all the answers and you stop thinking for yourself.
Exactly. It's crucial to remember that the AI is a tool.
Right.
And like any tool, it needs to be used appropriately and with careful consideration.
So project managers of the future are going to need a whole new skill set.
Yeah, they'll need to be what you might call AI literate.
AI literate, I like that.
They'll need to understand the capabilities and limitations of AI.
And how to use it ethically and responsibly.
Exactly. It's a whole new way of thinking about project management.
And it makes you wonder, what else could this type of analysis be used for? Like beyond just traditional project management tasks.
The possibilities are endless. Think about financial forecasting.
Oh, yeah.
You could run simulations based on different economic conditions.
And use AI to help guide investment decisions.
Exactly. Or healthcare AI could analyze patient data and medical research to help doctors make better diagnoses and treatment plans.
It seems like every field could benefit from this.
I think so. Education, urban planning, environmental management, the list goes on and on.
Okay, so we've established that this AI-powered decision-making has huge potential. But what about the challenges? Like the ethical considerations. We can't just ignore those, right?
Absolutely not. One of the biggest challenges is making sure these AI systems are developed and used responsibly.
Yeah, we need to think about data privacy, algorithmic bias, the impact on jobs.
All crucial considerations. We need to make sure AI is used to empower people, not replace them, or make existing inequalities worse.
So it sounds like we're at a really important moment.
Right.
AI has the potential to be incredibly beneficial.
Right.
but we need to be careful about how we implement it.
We're on the cusp of a new era, and it's up to us to shape it in a way that benefits everyone.
So what can our listeners do? Like, how can they help ensure AI is used ethically?
I think the most important thing is to stay informed and engaged. Learn about AI, understand its capabilities and limitations, participate in the conversations about its development.
So become AI literate.
Exactly. Not just as consumers, but as active citizens.
Okay, so before we move on to the broader implications of all this,
Yeah.
let's recap what we've learned about AI and project management.
Sure. So we saw that doubling the escalation rate can speed things up, but it can also create bottlenecks.
Right, and the AI team suggested using dynamic prioritization, layered task prioritization, and better communication to manage that.
And we talked about how this approach could help project managers make better decisions without replacing human judgment.
It's a powerful combination. Now, are you ready to explore how all of this could impact decision-making in other fields?
Absolutely. Let's dive in.
Okay, so we've seen how AI could change project management pretty dramatically.
Yeah, and what's really fascinating is that this approach, this AI-powered decision-making, could apply to all sorts of fields, not just projects.
That's a pretty big idea. Where do we even start with that?
Well, think about what we've been talking about, simulating different scenarios, analyzing tons of data-generating solutions.
Okay.
Those are all valuable tools for decision-making, no matter what field you're in.
I see what you mean. Like, imagine applying this to something like financial forecasting.
Exactly. You could have AI running simulations based on different economic conditions.
And then using those insights to make investment decisions.
Right. Or healthcare AI could analyze patient data, medical research, all sorts of stuff.
And help doctors make better decisions about diagnoses and treatments.
Exactly. And education, personalized learning for every student.
Urban planning, environmental management. The list goes on.
It really does. The potential applications are huge.
Okay, so this AI-powered decision-making could be a game changer for pretty much everything. But we have to talk about the challenges too, right? The risks.
Absolutely. We can't just ignore those.
Yeah.
One of the biggest challenges, I think, is making sure these AI systems are developed and used responsibly.
Yeah, we've got to think about data privacy, algorithmic bias, the impact on jobs.
All those things are crucial. We need to make sure AI is used to help people, not to harm them.
So it sounds like we're at a really critical point. AI has this incredible potential.
Right.
But it comes with real risks that we can't afford to ignore.
It's a new era, and we need to make sure we're shaping it the right way.
So what can our listeners do? How can they help make sure AI is used ethically?
I think the most important thing is to stay informed and get involved. Learn about AI, how it works, what it can and can't do. Be part of the conversation.
So basically become AI literate.
Exactly. Not just as users, but as citizens who are helping to shape the future of this technology.
Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the one thing you want our listeners to take away from all this?
I'd say this. AI is incredibly powerful. It has the potential to change how we make decisions in amazing ways.
Right.
But we need to approach it carefully. Be excited about the possibilities, but also be aware of the risks. And most importantly, stay engaged. Be part of the conversation.
That's a great message. So to all our listeners out there, keep learning, keep questioning, and keep pushing for a future where AI is used for good.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Thanks for joining me on this deep dive. It's been a fascinating conversation.
It really has. My pleasure.
And to everyone listening out there, until next time, dive deep.